Brian Coords, welcome back to the WP Minute.
Thank you for having me.
It's going to be the longest or shortest video we've ever recorded. Podcast.
Hopefully shortest, because it's a busy day. I'm being punished for taking Monday off by just constant scheduled meetings. I don't know if that happens to you.
I had pneumonia for a week, and I can today's the first day that I can actually breathe a little bit better. So I've had to push all my content creation from last week to this week. So it's been pretty tight.
Yeah. Well, you did miss a release, a big WordPress release.
I was watching our last video that you and I did. I'm already forgetting what the topic was.
The TechCrunch?
Oh yeah, the TechCrunch one. The TechCrunch one. And there was a visual discernible, like when I said, "Hey Brian, welcome back to the show," you look down, you're like, "Oh, thanks for having me." Like, I think you knew mentally what we were about to get into with the content. Hopefully today's a little bit better. We're going to talk about WordPress 6.7 was released. I started to play around with 2025 this morning. Well, I started playing with it when it was first announced and started to play with the final version. I got some thoughts on that today. I haven't got a chance to get to block bindings. This episode that we're recording right now is going to be about a 2-week-ish lag from when we record to when we publish. So things might change when you're listening to this right now. It doesn't mean we're wrong. It just, maybe things change over the course of that time. But we're going to share our thoughts on 6.7. Maybe we'll dive into a little bit of some AI stuff. I've been addicted to coding with Cursor and AI.
Okay.
Well, we can talk about it. We can talk about it as we progress. So let's start with 6.7. I saw a lot of people saying they're excited, but I didn't see it as like a major release. But I say that a lot, I feel, and it's like the iterations of iPhones where I go, not that big. But when you look back from 3 years ago, it is a big jump. It's just not big in that iterative jump. I see it as not a big deal. What do you think?
Well, I think there's not like a standout feature that you can get excited about. That the font Google font installer was like a few releases ago that got people excited. Like when you have some kind of big, exciting, shiny thing, that's usually the thing. I feel like this whole year, and especially this one, is a lot of like under the hood, like these are gonna lead to great things just in a few more releases. It's a lot of APIs, a lot of under the hood stuff, a lot of like cleanup, a lot of getting all the blocks to kind of match, and get all the little settings on, all the design settings on all the blocks to kind of match each other and stuff. So like nothing big and exciting, except for the default theme, I guess. This is that default theme release. So, but yeah, not a lot to like dive into maybe.
Now, I saw a demo video, which has been getting high praise, produced, I assume, by Jamie Marsland in the back end and starring Richard Tabor, who you and I shared a few beverages with at WordCamp US. I saw him actually like clicking and assigning a custom field into a blocker pattern. So that UI is there for the block bindings and the custom fields, or am I mixing up the technology terms here?
Yeah, no, that's it. So yeah, the block bindings is basically like, can I take a block, like a paragraph, and can the content of that block come from somewhere else? So could I take a button, but the link in that button, could it pull from, the permalink of the article or a custom field that I've added? So it's about like connecting other data into your blocks. And so that part is really exciting. And what they released this time is you can actually like see it in the sidebar, and you can pick, okay, I want the URL of my button to pull from here and stuff like that. The only downside is you have to actually have custom fields to pull from. And that's not something you can do in WordPress without writing code. So you can't go to Playground, as far as I can tell. I don't think you can go to Playground and just try it, because you kind of have to have custom fields. So it's a feature that's going to get us somewhere. It's a feature that developers, I think, are going to be a little more excited about. It's probably not a feature that 90% of WordPress users are going to use.
It's almost like you were watching my screen, because that's exactly what I'm doing while you're talking. I booted up Playground, which is my favorite place to, if you don't know, dear listener or viewer, playground.wordpress.net. Great way to spin up WordPress. to play use it for free in your browser without installing it anywhere else. So yeah, I was trying to do that, can't do it, don't know how to do it. But like you said, you probably have to have some custom fields activated and installed, and to or registered so that it actually pulls from. Otherwise, I don't know how to pull it up.
Yeah, and if you use ACF or SCF, as it is also called, the Advanced Custom Fields plugin, it's not fully integrated with that yet because Advanced Custom Fields are advanced and they're not really quite one to one with core custom fields. So I think you'll see ACF probably is working on, getting that. And I think that's where most people are familiar with registering their custom fields. There is talk about in a few years getting to a place where you can make custom post types and custom fields in WordPress core. So, I mean, I think so it's like foundational. It's going to get somewhere. Developers are going to get excited about it. But I was even just talking to somebody, a contributor, and it was kind of like cool, but like not yet ready to be functionally used, but you see potential.
There is one feature that was added that I am really excited about, which I literally just learned about 30 minutes before we started recording from somebody I think Jessica Lishik. Lishik, is that how you say her last name? She introduced a feature inside of the preferences panel. So if you're in the site editor, WordPress editor, or page post editor, and you go to preferences, under the general screen, there's a little toggle to show starter patterns. I can toggle that on or off. So every time you create a page and the patterns things pops up, and I'm like, just get it out of my way, man. I don't need it. We can now disable it and do it, except for the fact, which I learned today, I learned yesterday, that 2025, you need that turned on in order to slap the business homepage template on, which blows my mind because it's a huge departure from 2024, where 2024 had that air quotes business template loaded in templates, and you would assign it by creating a blank page and then selecting that template, or just actually loaded by default. So when you pulled up a fresh install of WordPress, there's my homepage. It's a placeholder content. May not be what I exactly want, but at least as the end user, you knew this is a starting point. This is where you can go with this thing. But that's gone in 2025, which was weird for me.
It's a weird philosophical choice this time that 2025 loads so blank. It reminds me of 2023, which was the really stark black and white one with like the neon green button. But this one is even less placeholder content. And I guess in a sense that's maybe useful in certain situations, but I loved 2024. I felt like all that placeholder content really made you feel optimistic that you could build something really cool for your homepage. And now we're back to WordPress as a blog, and here's your single post with the picture of a boat or whatever it's going to be. And I don't know, it's not as exciting. I don't know why.
I was chatting about this with Frank Klein on Twitter. Do people still use Twitter? And Mike McAllister jumped in and he said, debatably, 2024's little trick of putting the homepage design on the blog homepage template broke a longstanding, quote, no content in templates guideline. It's a Band-Aid for a much bigger issue. I'm not against it per se, but it sets a bad example for many folks who now do this. Frank also came back and mentioned it could be easy as WordPress adding a homepage.html template. So front page covers both cases, home covers the blog, homepage covers the page on front. Up for changing the name, but the idea makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's from the end user experience. I think the Hello World single blog post has always been something that has stumped end users since I was making themes back in 2007. They were just like, what the heck is this? Where's the homepage? So
it's there are perennial issues that WordPress people like to complain about. Onboarding is one of them, and defaulting to posts over pages is one of them. And this one kind of falls back on it. But to go back to what you were saying about the pop-up where you get to pick your page pattern when you start a new page and it shows you here's some default patterns, that feature when it came out went from everyone loved it to living with it for about 48 hours and everybody suddenly hated it. It was like, so cool. I can't believe this is great. Immediately just could not get rid of it fast enough. So I feel like they need to take the extra step and make you opt into turning it on, or make theme developers have to turn it on or something, because that one isn't as good. It's a weird workflow.
Here's what I don't understand. And maybe it's just because it's just a weird thing I haven't noticed yet in WordPress. I'm actively searching for it right now. First of all, what do we call those? Do we call those templates, or are they pattern
They're
templates?
they're technically patterns. They're
Right.
patterns where there's a thing you can put in your pattern file if you save your patterns as like PHP files that says, show in this for this post type.
Okay, so there's that. But they're not accessible anywhere else but in that modal. Like, I can't
Hmm.
see those designs. Like, I can't go into the site editor, which you would assume you would do, because this is what I did when I first installed it. I've been watching the design development of 2025 through the Figma link project that they actively develop on. I've been watching those saying, oh, these things are pretty cool. These are nice. Some of these things are nice. So I was just in my brain going, okay, I'm going to make my 2025 video. I'm going to pull up the templates. I'm going to see these templates. I'm going to apply these templates. I'm going to teach people how to use it. Then it didn't exist in the traditional templates view directory. I don't even know what to call it, screen. But now you can't even get to them. It's not like they're compiled anywhere to go, oh, I want that. Let me click it and add it to my page. It has to come from that modal. Where feature themes, to contrast this, is like a cadence. If I click on the cadence library, I can see all those patterns, and I can click on, yeah, this is the pattern. This is the collection I want. Boom, insert it into the page. There's no other way to activate this if you're not loading the page for the first time.
No, you can find them. So if you're on a page, you go to add, like you're going to add a block, and then you jump over to the patterns tab where you can see all the patterns, and it shows you'll get that nice zoom out view activated,
Right.
which we can talk about. Then under there's all the categories, and there is one called pages. And I see some of them in there.
Oh,
I see a business homepage, a coming soon page. So
got it.
they're
Yes,
they're
you are
in
right.
there
It's pages. I did not see that.
because
Okay,
they're
well,
basically
we learned something.
they're not technically templates. They're starter patterns, like they're patterns to start you off on a page, but they're not templates.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, so that makes sense. Design wise, this is what I said in my video, and I'll link up my video on YouTube that I did earlier today. It's a nice theme. I have no problems with it. It's not particularly a starting point, I think, for most businesses. Design is subjective, of course, but I see this design and I think photography, art, digital media, if you're doing like video and like production and stuff like that's where or just blog, like you just want a nice clean looking blog. I think it's good for that. But like, if I'm going to stamp this as what kind of WordPress theme is this? I'm going photography, art, digital media.
Like
That's how I see this. What's your
I would
thoughts?
say like a magazine is
Yeah.
like it's like a magazine theme. Like it looks
Yeah.
like a fashion or art blog or something like that. It's a little more opinionated in that sense.
Yeah.
You know, than 2023, which really did feel like, I don't know, just generic in a good way, like generic it could be a small business site, it could be something like that. Um, the other thing I was actually thinking, I just talked to, I think you mentioned Mike McAllister, who has Ollie WP. I don't know if you've used his, but his theme, his pro theme, like has a way where when you're in a page, you go like you're going to add a block, but you can actually add his pattern library, and it
Hmm.
opens this pattern library, and it's like categorized and very visual, and you can see everything at different screen sizes. And it's, do you want a full page? Do you want all this stuff? And I really hope that one day they'll look at what is happening in places like that and see, oh wow, patterns are maybe need a little more attention. Like people really more easier way to get to these patterns, to see full page patterns. Cause yeah, a lot of this stuff, it's like it's there, but it's kind of hidden. It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
find.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Haven't used Ollie in a while. I obviously looked at it when it first came out. Though I do I do, if I ever have time, want to redo the WP Minute, uh, just for the sake of just trying something new, really. There's nothing really wrong with my Cadence theme. It's not the best looking thing, but I'm not a designer, nor do I have time. And Ollie is on the top of my list to maybe check out that. And I know Generate Press is coming out with some of their new functionality. I don't know about their themes, but yeah, Ollie would definitely be on the top of my charts for a big media site. Here's the issue. This is not against you, but you mentioned it. Uh, Magazine theme, and I actually did a
Yes.
video. I posted this on Twitter maybe a month ago. I forget. But the issue is for a person like me who runs the WP Minute and just a ton of content, blog posts, podcasts, tutorials, like all these different things. And then I have newsletter signups. I sell, I sell stuff, right? I have merch. I have sponsorship packages. I have memberships that people can sign up for. Maybe get into courses in 2025. I require a lot from my theme, which is largely why I'm sort of just like get hamstrung and I don't do anything with it. But like a media site, a magazine site, it's always just one thing. It's like, here's the homepage. This homepage looks like a magazine. Therefore, it's a magazine theme. But I think the business of a magazine or a digital thing requires so much more uh, designed and styled for somebody like me to use it. And I would pay $400 for a theme, right? 10, whatever that is, 10, 8 times what the average single site license costs um, to have a complete theme with all the business things I need. Probably pipe dream, but from a media perspective, I think, and maybe everyone, like I think everyone needs a newsletter page. I think anyone who's doing anything online trying to make a difference and get their brand out there, they're going to have a podcast, a YouTube channel. They're going to have all this stuff, and it's going to go beyond. These theme companies need to go beyond like designing that homepage and say that's what makes this, that's what defines this theme. Like I think we're going to need more in the future. My opinion.
Yeah, it's funny because that's what I was just talking about with Mike, which is this idea that patterns really are going to be like the new currency of WordPress sites and WordPress themes. Because, even if you go off and pay for something, like you said, there's so many things you like. I need a pricing table. I need a landing page. I need a splash page for a coming soon section. I need a newsletter sign up. I need all these different things. I need to compare services. I need checklists and feature comparisons. Like there's a lot of really common things that people put on websites. And this one is very much, a magazine theme is very much for publishing content, but not for business e-commerce selling things. And, and especially if we're going to lean into block themes, there needs to be, just maybe a better approach to getting some of these in there, because you can take patterns from other themes and stuff, but it's not super easy. So maybe, what if instead of another core theme, they just released a whole set of business patterns, 2025 business pattern pack or something. It's a plugin and it comes installed and you can turn it off if you don't want the patterns or something like that, things they
Yeah.
could do without redesigning, retheming. Just give me the patterns. And the way WordPress works now, they'll fit into my theme pretty well. Like they'll look pretty good. I don't actually need a whole new theme.
It brings up the that age old debate of like, do we need a new theme every year? That was on my mind with 2025. I had a couple comments. I think maybe you and I talked about this on another live stream or a podcast. I had a couple questions come in on YouTube, and folks were like, "Oh, do I need to upgrade from 2024 to 2025?" And I think you and I chatted a little bit about it in a DM. I know that, and I started to test it myself. And my God, it's just not even possible, right? So, like, from the end user perspective, I hear things like, "Oh, you can just copy paste patterns from one WordPress site to the next," but sorely, like, it just does not work that seamlessly. I ran a couple demos locally to just see what would happen if I upgraded from 2024 to 2025 or copy pasted patterns, content from my 2020. It's not even happening. It's not happening. Don't even try it. At the end of the day, and I wonder how many people actually think about that when they see, like, the layman person who's using WordPress looks at the new update and they go, "Oh, 2025." Like, do they have to upgrade? In the back of their head, are they thinking they have to upgrade? And if they do, are they just like blowing their site up because of that? I don't have the answer, but it's just something I think about when I see these new themes roll out.
Yeah, and I think there's like a push to be more, they call it composable, where your fonts are here, your colors are here, your patterns are here, your templates are here, and you can mix and match. Like, we're not there yet. You should never change your theme unless you are ready for like a weekend of work. Like, it's not a simple task. But yeah, that's why I think, like, I don't know that we need, I'm on the team, like, no more default themes, or figure out a way to break these things apart a little bit more so that I almost don't really need a new design, but I would love new types of content, new different things like that to bring it in. But no, definitely don't change your theme unless you want to lose everything. But you can go to a 2024 site and copy paste patterns, or you can go to the pattern browser. You can kind of move stuff around, but you're not going to get all the same bells and whistles and stuff. So it's not a perfect process. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Figma file. I'm just going to slow down just for a second because I think we might be dipping in and out of internet connection in this Descript Rooms beta. So I'll just give it a second here to catch up. I'm looking at the Figma project for 2025, and I'm seeing these, and this is what really got me thinking about liking 2025. So I know if you're just listening, you can't see this. I'm not sharing it on video either, but there's a complex news blog template section in the 2025 Figma file. It's awesome. Like, this layout is what I was thinking for, like, perfect for a layout for the WP Minute. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I could get behind this kind of layout, but I don't see this blog layout anywhere. Not in that pages pattern, and certainly not in templates. So I'm just curious if they maybe left some of these behind. There's a label in the Figma project that says ready for dev. I don't know if it's actually going to get developed. But they have personal blog, which also says ready for dev. So something tells me none of this other stuff's getting developed. Photo blog and personal blog alternative. But yeah, it's just weird that this one just felt like maybe it just didn't get everything it needed to get out the door, or just the bare minimum, I should say.
I know there was a lot of call for support to build it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they didn't finish it or what. Like you said, it's just an interesting theme. I didn't even know about the thing where you can switch out the template of your blog with that sidebar kind of drawer that opens up and it says design. I don't, on the sidebar, it's like
Oh,
your
yeah,
header,
yeah.
your footer, and then there's like this accordion with all these other templates in there. I had never seen that before.
Right.
And I learned that from you on Twitter.
Yeah. You
Some
laugh
of them are
you laugh like you learned something from me, Brian. That's just not nice. I mean, there's always some sort of surprise in all of this stuff. Zoom out is nice. We talked about that for a second. Zoom out's nice. Moving on from 2025, anything else interesting to you for 6.7?
Well, no. I mean, you can upload photos from your iPhone. I actually really like that one.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. Do you use ever
like
WordPress on your phone or no?
I don't. Can't say I do.
Yeah, no. Well, you can do that. No, it's really a lot of under the hood stuff. There's really not like an exciting showcase thing, but I there's some cool stuff that I think will one day lead to something cool.
Yes, for sure. So WordPress 6.7, that's that in a bag. Again, you're probably listening to this week and a half-ish from when it launched. So maybe some cool things happened since. Hopefully we're not regretting this like we have other pieces of content we've published. But let's talk really quick here about AI. I've been using it recently with something called Cursor, which I guess is forked from VS Code, and how I was learning how to build these things, which you'll hear in another episode with Mark Zemansky and I talk about. But I was just throwing things at Claude in the web browser of Claude and just like smashing my head against it. Like, yeah, build this thing, do this. This doesn't work. Try it again. I was just burning through credits, and I just felt like I didn't largely know what I was doing. Still don't. But then I found Cursor, and it would allow me to do the prompts to Claude through Cursor without eating up my pro account tokens. And the beauty of all of this is it brings me back to like when I first started unlocking some of the magic with custom post types and gravity forms and WordPress and custom fields. I'm like, oh shit, I can build these cool things now. And I'm having that same feeling like building with Cursor. Again, I don't know what the code's doing, but I'm learning a lot. Like I'm learning API endpoints, passing data. I'm learning a little bit more about JavaScript. I'm learning about new environments, new coding frameworks, front end frameworks like Svelte. Using Cloudflare. Like I'm in this whole like absorption mode of learning again, and it feels kind of fun. But then it also makes me appreciate everything that's baked into WordPress as like a complete application. Like,
Mhm.
holy crap. There is a lot here. While I'm just like making one massive file to make an entire app. It's an interesting time to be kind of like learning this stuff and be able to have this power. I don't know where to lead me, but it's been fun.
I think that I it's funny because I'm doing the exact opposite thing, but I think we should talk about this first. And I really do think that these AI tools, when it comes to like coding, I think first of all, coding is the perfect thing for AI because they're language models that are predictive on language, but they're machines, and coding is like a language written for machines, and it's the best so far. What I've seen, the best thing that AI can do is write code and then explain it to you and teach it to you while you're writing it. And so, you know, I think I don't think people should be if you're really into coding and that's where you make your money. I don't think you need to be worried. I don't think Matt Medeiros is going to AI his way to replacing you, but instead, I do
Oh,
think
you mark
you'll.
my words, Brian.
Well, I mean, if you learn all this stuff, then you learn it, and that's
Yeah.
the same. Whether you learn it from a AI or not,
Right.
that's irrelevant. Um, but I do think like people's ability to have an idea and have that idea exist in the world is going to be a lot faster. I even had a call recently with a person who hired a bunch of developers to build a thing, the kind of work that we used to do for years, and then talked through it and was kind of like, I think I could just do this with a spreadsheet and AI and not not hire a bunch of developers to, take 6 months and build me this complicated thing. And then if it works and I make a bunch of money, then I'll go get the developers and they'll
Yeah.
turn it into the nicer thing. But like idea to MVP, I think like that gap is like going way down with these tools.
It also has me thinking, and this is the scary part, and this is where we could get in trouble again, but that's what you and I like to do. Um, amidst all this stuff in the WordPress community, it really has me worried about like the impact of the situation that we're in. In other words, like, yeah, we love WordPress. I think a lot of us love the idea of like this open source and being sort of the North Star for that, right? When, like, hey, you should use WordPress. It's open source. It's good. It's good. It's good to use open source. It's good to spread that. And you should vote. Even with the complexities of WordPress and the challenges it has, you should also vote because it is open source and you control it. Yada yada yada. Um, but this stuff is really going to take away that excuse or that hurdle where people are like, you know what? I hear what you're saying over there. I hear that you want me to use WordPress. I'm glad it's open source, but I'm just going to whip together this thing with AI, and I'm going to connect up to a Google spreadsheet, and I'm just going to string along a couple of proprietary sources to put this thing together. I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, I just need this thing done. Like I don't need to wrestle with it just because you want me to have this thing that is good for for the open source world, right? And for humanity. I don't know how we're going to wrestle with that packaging of that message, moving forward. Technically, you can make arguments, but I think from the layperson who has this power in front of them is going to be like, yeah, you know what? I don't care if I have to pay $5 a month to Wix and I make this AI script and it shoots off this database thing and it stores it in Wix and it displays in Wix. I can do it versus, you know, wrestling with WordPress. No direct question there, but like these are the feelings I'm starting to see as I get outside of the walls of WordPress. And it only took me a week to start to see like, oh shit, like this is what people are talking about on this side of the fence.
Yeah, I mean, I think two things. One is I think think about when like Snapchat came out and it was like the idea that you would post content and it would delete after 24 hours, and that was like this novel thing, and now it's pretty common in social media that you make content that disappears. And I think this idea that everything you make online has to be so permanent and you want to own it is just does feel like less and less. You're like, no, I actually don't really care if this is going to be around in 5 years. I just want to try to make something and see what happens and see if I could solve this immediate need and make something cool and then move on. And like that is solved by a lot of these tools. And then I think the other thing is, if people haven't watched, it's the WordCamp Asia speech from Noel Talk, who talks all about the future of WordPress. And he really harps on this idea that like what makes WordPress powerful is how you integrate it with other things. And we used to always have to say everything goes in WordPress. I'm going to make my emails in here and my customer database in here, and I'm going to build everything inside my WordPress site. Whereas now what people really want is integrations, and they just like, I want a central hub to connect this and this and this. And if WordPress could still be that, that would be amazing, because it would be this kind of piece you own that's at the heart of everything. But if it doesn't, then yeah, I'm going to go pay $20 a month to like make.com or something and kind of get a database and everything else that I needed from WordPress. And it's going to have all the integrations, and it has a little AI where I just say like, I want this to do this, and it'll just make it for me. And yeah, I mean, it's very different than I think the internet expectations we all had 15 years ago.
WordPress as the operating system of the web is what we were talking about. We, mostly Matt, many years ago. And that was the tagline that always, you know, bought me into this whole thing, is like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. And again, this is like 15, 16, 17 years ago when he was saying stuff like that. And I was like, wow, I can really see WordPress as that central hub to do all these things. You know, and we're seeing it now, like, whatever, this big rush to Blue Sky, whatever. It's another social media thing, which is owned by the same guy who started Twitter. And when it's like, when are humans going to learn? Right? Yeah, everything's great now, man. Like, yeah, this algorithm's great. There's no ads, there's nothing here. Yeah, until there is.
Yeah.
You know, and look what happened with Twitter. Twitter wasn't like amazing before Elon got it. Twitter hadn't been amazing since like the first 3 years of its inception. So whatever, it's just another social network. But it also has me now going, fuck, and now I have to watch and post over here. I just want one place that posts everywhere, which is literally, you know, people should just be doing Mastodon, right? But people don't like it because they're just like, what? This techie geek thing that I have to load up, and there is no algorithm to surface any content. There's nothing that drives me back to it. People will live and die by this engagement algorithm that all these social media tools will eventually have. I'd love to be able to go to WordPress and just be like, here's my post. It saves it as a blog, and then it also goes out to all the freaking platforms and posts to all of them. And that's it. And it leads it right back. And we're kind of getting that with like the Mastodon add-on, but I need it to go across all social media sites. And I need the experience of on my phone to just be, I don't want to log in, admin dashboard, see it, navigate, click. I just want to do it. Post it, send it.
Yeah.
Save the post, and let's move.
I mean, I think Blue Sky did come from Twitter originally. Like, it was a program in Twitter that he spun out right before they got taken over. And what's his name? Dorsey doesn't even own it anymore. It's like, it's a little independent, but it is almost actually the same as Mastodon. It's the same where it's open source. You can see all the code for it. You can always export all of your content and data because you have full access to your handle. You can take your username with you, which you can't do in Mastodon. And it's federated, so you can make your own little standalone Blue Sky and connect it with that. So it's kind of the same thing, and it's got a lot of those same principles. And then, yes, of course, it has taken money from big companies and including Automatic and other big companies. But there are people working on doing for WordPress what they did for Mastodon, but doing it for Blue Sky, like figuring that out. I've seen people already do, they can post from WordPress to Blue Sky, and the next one will be, I think, comments and stuff. So like all we really want is RSS and comments to work together and not have social media at all. Like we all want that
100%.
golden era to come back. We want social networks to work the same way email works, where I just can sign up wherever I want and you sign up wherever you want and we communicate and it works. And I don't care that I'm on Google and you're not, that's all we want.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I still see it as WordPress could be that cornerstone. RSS, all your data in one place. Everybody just subscribe to your RSS feed. RSS must continue to win. This is why I'm so crazy about it, especially when it comes to podcasting. And people are like, oh yeah, Spotify is going to do it. Spotify didn't do it. Now everyone's like, oh, YouTube's going to do it. Well, watch what you wish, because YouTube Google killed their podcast player on all Android devices. So do you think they actually care, about podcasting and RSS? No, they just want you to go right into YouTube and feed that machine. RSS, man, is the way. If everyone had an RSS feed, like everyone can have a domain, all your information would be there. You'd know how many subscribers you would have. You just post your information, everybody would get it. And these social sites just, destroy it. But hey, I'm willing to try. Blue Sky, kicking and screaming.
I mean, there's two reasons I've really struggled with Mastodon, and one is the technology and the user experience. And I've even tried the fancy apps, and I don't know. It's hard. I don't feel like it doesn't feel as snappy as something like Twitter. But I think the other thing too is they all start growing their own culture based on when they got big and popular. And so I think there's a definite culture that happened when Mastodon really like hit that last stride, and it has a certain vibe to it. And I think Blue Sky is right now hitting that. And I really hope it's not like just a reactive political vibe, but it actually is just like it needs to be more than that, because that's kind of what Mastodon felt like. And then it was like, well, if we're all just here because we're against an idea and not here to constructively, that's not as helpful. So if you're going to try Blue Sky, come in constructive and like make something that people are excited for, not just mad about something else. That's my take.
100%. That's today's episode. WordPress 6.7 2025 theme. You can zoom out now. It's fun. It's exciting. AI, social media sites. What a grab bag today. Brian, what are you up to these days? What are you working on? What can you tell folks? Remember, this is going to go out in about a week and a half.
Hopefully by then, I have a bunch of interviews I've been doing with WordPress developers, and we're talking about like Gutenberg, full site editing, agency life. I've already been racking them up. So hopefully by the time this comes out, there will be one at least out or at least scheduled, and those will be on YouTube, like on a weekly, semi-weekly basis.
YouTube at Brian Coords.
Coords. Yep.
Fantastic stuff. Everybody else, it's the WP Minute, the WPMinute.com/subscribe. It's the number one way to stay connected. We'll see you in the next episode. Boom, boom, boom. All right.